I sent a breakup text to the wrong person and caused family drama. My name is Claire Morgan, and before last spring, I would have sworn I had mastered crisis prevention. Color-coded calendars, double-checked emails, alarms for literally everything. I was the kind of person who proofread text messages before sending them, who would rather chew a thumbtack than send an accidental LOL to the wrong thread. And yet somehow, the message that detonated my family harmony and my dignity was 6 words long. I can't do this anymore, Jake. The problem, as the universe would have it, was that there were 2 Jakes in my contacts list. One was my boyfriend of 2 years, the charming, chaotic graphic designer who never remembered to pay the Wi-Fi bill, but always remembered my coffee order. The other was my older brother, also named Jake, because apparently my parents have an allergy to name variety. Growing up, family gatherings were a comedy routine of "Which Jake?" followed by elaborate nicknames that never stuck. So the real betrayal here wasn't modern technology. It was 28 years of questionable parental logic. That fateful Thursday started out perfectly forgettable. I woke up to drizzle tapping my window, already late for work. The kind of morning that promises nothing except caffeine dependency. My relationship had been fizzling for months, gentle arguments turning into cold silences. I'd rehearsed my breakup speech for a week, rewriting it in my notes app like a nervous playwright. That morning, while scrolling through old messages on the train, I saw his name pop up again, Jake Hart. A photo from our last trip, all golden smiles and invisible cracks. My stomach twisted. I knew it was time. During lunch break, when my coworkers were debating whether salad counts as food, I sat alone by the office window, heart pounding, thumbs trembling, and typed it out. I can't do this anymore, Jake. There were no dramatic emojis, no long explanation, just blunt mercy, the textual equivalent of ripping off a Band-Aid. My pulse raced as I hit send. 10 seconds later, my phone buzzed with a reply. Wait, what can't you do? For a baffled heartbeat, I frowned. My boyfriend Jake was infamous for his avoidance techniques. An instant responder he was not. Then I noticed something horrifying at the top of the screen. Jake Morgan, home. I had just broken up with my brother. I froze, thumb hovering over the phone, like maybe if I didn't move, physics would undo itself. No such luck. 3 dots appeared, the universal symbol of incoming doom. Then a long pause. Another buzz. Claire, are you okay? What's happening? Are you and Mom fighting again? Cue internal screaming. I fumbled to type a correction, but my panic turned my fingers into spaghetti. Messages spilled out in chaotic bursts. No, wrong Jake, not you. Oh my gosh, forget that text. His reply arrived instantly, too delighted for a man who'd just been accidentally dumped by his sister. You broke up with me? On a Thursday? That's cold. If my phone had a self-destruct mode, I would have used it. I buried my face in my hands, silently bargaining with any deity who'd trade divine intervention for digital amnesia. Unfortunately, my brother is both curious and dramatic. Within minutes, he called me. I picked up because stalling only prolongs suffering. Claire, you can't drop a breakup bomb with no context and vanish, he said between laughter. Who's the lucky guy? Not you, obviously, I groaned. I meant to text Jake with a heart. He paused, then laughed again like this was the best entertainment he'd had all week. So you're finally ending it with designer Jake, huh? About time. Can we not? I hissed, glancing around to make sure none of my coworkers were eavesdropping. But it was too late, because 2 hours later, when I arrived home, my biggest mistake wasn't the message. It was underestimating Jake Morgan, self-appointed family messenger pigeon. My mother was waiting on my couch, armed with a casserole dish and concern. Sweetheart, she said the moment I opened the door. What happened with Jake? The short one or the tall one? I asked, defeated already. "You're Jake," she said, her voice a blend of sympathy and curiosity that mothers reserve for emotionally messy offspring. "Your brother called me. He said you're heartbroken." I pressed both hands over my face. "He what?" By dinner that night, word had spread faster than a rumor in a retirement community. Family group chats buzzed with condolence messages and heart emojis. My aunt texted unsolicited advice. Grandma sent an inspirational graphic with sparkly butterflies and the phrase, "Everything happens for a reason," as though digital glitter could mend humiliation. Meanwhile, the only person who didn't know I'd intended to end things was the actual Jake in question. That lasted exactly 3 hours. While Mom was trying to console me with lasagna, my phone lit up with a new text from Jake Hart. "Hey, weird question. Why did your brother call me and ask if I'm single again?" You know that sensation when your soul briefly leaves your body? That was me, staring at the screen like it might explode. My brother hadn't just gossiped. He'd taken initiative. He'd called my boyfriend. I called him, hissing his name like a curse. "What possessed you?" "What?" he said, utterly unapologetic. "You texted I can't do this anymore." I thought the decent thing was to check on him. He sounded confused, for the record. "Because he wasn't dumped yet, Jake." The pause on the other end was ripe with realization. "Oh," he said. "Well, awkward. Then, completely unhelpful. Maybe fate's telling you something." Fate was telling me that homicide was still technically illegal. I hung up. The following hour was a fever dream of damage control. I drafted the actual breakup text, polite, clear, heartfelt, double-checked the contact, stared at it until my eyes burned, and hit send. This time, no mix-up. The relief was short-lived. 10 minutes later, my ex replied with the dreaded, "So your brother already told me. Guess we're consistent." Somewhere deep in the cosmos, karma was having a spa day at my expense. By the weekend, the family drama had mutated from gossip to group therapy. My parents invited both Jakes for Sunday dinner, because we're all adults who can communicate. Spoiler, we could not. I arrived to find my ex sitting awkwardly at the table beside my brother, who looked far too pleased with himself, and my mother arranging mashed potatoes like Switzerland, trying to mediate a peace treaty. "Okay," Dad said, clapping his hands. "Let's clear the air." "No need," I said, backing toward the door. But Ethan, ever the mediator, whispered, "Maybe it's good to just get it over with." 10 excruciating minutes and 1 spilled glass of wine later, it became officially the family dinner of infamy. Every sentence was a landmine. My brother cracked jokes that only made things worse. My ex tried too hard to be casual, and my mother kept handing me tissues, even though I wasn't crying. By dessert, grandmother FaceTimed in from Florida to announce she'd lit a candle for my healing. When the night finally ended, I drove home under a wash of city lights, oscillating between hysterical laughter and mild existential dread. My phone buzzed. One new message from my brother. "So technically, we both got dumped." I stared at it, then burst out laughing, tears prickling despite myself. By morning, the storm had passed. Embarrassment has a half-life. Confusion fades, group chats quiet, casseroles stop appearing. But the ripple effects were far from done. And over the next weeks, that one errant text would unravel truths about family, love, and the price of assuming intention. Because sometimes a typo isn't just a typo. It's an accidental mirror for what we've been avoiding saying aloud. And that, as I'd soon learn, was only the beginning of the fallout. Fallout is an oddly polite word for what came next. It suggests slow-motion destruction, while in reality, my life decided to sprint into chaos wearing track shoes. The morning after the infamous dinner, my phone was a mosaic of notifications. Texts from my father, "Your brother meant well, honey." From my mother, "Are you eating?" Always her first emotional triage. And from my ex, whose message simply read, "You should tell your family to stop texting me motivational quotes." Apparently, Grandma had found his number. I stared at my screen in equal parts mortification and awe. In the grand saga of Morgan family meddling, this was a new record. I regretted not switching my phone to airplane mode forever. My brother, predictably, was the only one thriving. He sent me a selfie at brunch captioned, "Recovering from family trauma with pancakes." When I arrived at work that day, I discovered that my emotional turbulence had migrated there too. My coworker and accidental confidant Sam slid into my cubicle with the delicate caution of someone approaching a wounded raccoon. "So, how's the witness protection plan coming?" I sighed. I trended in my own family group chat. "That's impressive," she said, nodding. "Most people have to go viral for that." I groaned into my coffee. If HR asks, I'm changing my name and moving to Canada. The truth was, beyond the embarrassment, the breakup itself had cracked something open I hadn't realized was fragile. My life had been built on predictability. Same job for 5 years, same apartment, same partner. I'd considered stability to be safety. Now, with that gone, the silence in my evenings was louder than I expected, magnified by the constant ping of family texts trying to include me in things I never once wanted included in.